Here in the southern plains, many of the female wildebeest are accompanied by their young calves.
The wildebeest drop all their calves to coincide with the big rain. The calves are standing within 15 minutes. They're able to run within half an hour, 45 minutes, or at least sort of wobble along with their mothers. And they'll move, several kilometers within their first day. So these calves are growing up on this ideal landscape, right? Perfect wildebeest habitat. And so why would you ever leave? And the reason you have to leave is because the Serengeti doesn't have its own irrigation system. It starts drying out, and it dries out really rapidly. Wildebeest need to have water every couple of days. There's no permanent water on the plains. The nutritional quality of the grasses declines very rapidly as it dries out, and suddenly you're faced with no food and no water. Okay, so everything's drying up. Where do you go? If we're thinking that wildebeest are tracking food, then our prediction should be that wildebeest will go to where there's the next available food source. So what does the GPS collars tell us? If we put on the dry season locations of animals, what we see is this huge congregation up in the north. And the north is where there's the highest amount of rainfall in the dry season.
Once again, the GPS collars reveal that the wildebeest herds seem to be following the rainfall. But as they move north to reach the best grazing grounds, the Mara River stands in their way. When rain falls on the opposite side of the Mara, the wildebeest have a choice to make. The lure of new rain and fresh grass is powerful, but every crossing carries the risk of drowning or an encounter with one of the Mara's infamous crocodiles. But even in the north, the rains and green grass don't last forever.
You can imagine this whole system is drying out slowly. Imagine a grape becoming a raisin. And everybody's keeping an eye out for the new rain.
When the monsoon rains return, the wildebeest herds once more move south toward the short grass plains, where the cycle begins again.
So we had two predictions from our hypothesis. One is that there is variation in space in the availability of food. And the second prediction is that our radio-collared animals are able to track the availability of that food very precisely. And what we see from this imagery is actually both are actually true.
Migration gives wildebeest access to fresh food year-round. Could it be that migration is the key to explaining their enormous numbers? To answer this question, Grant took advantage of the fact that not all wildebeest migrate.
There are actually 4 small populations of wildebeest that don't migrate at all. The largest herd does. The 1.3 million, those are the big migrants. The resident populations are far less abundant, by orders of magnitude, 5,000 animals as opposed to 1.3 million.
The migratory herds follow a 650-kilometer circuit each year, taking advantage of a massive temporary food source in the south, then retreating to the north when the southern plains dry out. Migration gives them access to more food, and since their population is regulated by food, they have become far more numerous than the resident populations. But the food supply isn't the whole story. Resident and migratory wildebeest also experience dramatically different rates of predation.
For resident wildebeest, 87% of the deaths was caused by predators, as we would expect from the relationship between body size and the cause of death. In contrast, only 25% of the deaths of migratory wildebeest is accounted for by predators, even though they are of the same size.
Compared to the residents, migratory wildebeest are somehow better at avoiding being eaten by predators. But why?
Predators cannot follow migrants. And this is because of their basic biology. A baby lion takes 6 weeks before it can basically follow the mother. The mother carries it. A baby wildebeest can run as fast as the mother within 24 hours. So the wildebeest can keep moving and the lions cannot keep moving.
Migration gives wildebeest a double advantage: finding more food without being eaten.